You know how it is. We love figuring ourselves out. We do the tests, we get that four-letter label, and boom, everything suddenly clicks. But what if that label, the one that feels so good and explains so much, is actually telling you a little lie? A really convenient excuse that's keeping you stuck. I mean, think about it. How many times have you said something like, "Oh, that's just me. I'm just fiercely independent." It feels strong, right? Like a core part of who you are. But what if it's also a wall? A shield you're using? Or, hey, maybe this one's more your speed. "I'm just keeping my options open." It sounds smart, totally strategic. But let's be real. When does exploring turn into just avoiding the fear of actually picking a path and sticking with it? There's a name for this. It's called personality justification. It's that sneaky thing we do where we take a trait from our personality type and we twist it into a permission slip, a hall pass to get out of doing the very things that scare us the most, like growing, or connecting, or committing to something, or even just failing. It starts out feeling great, like putting on a comfortable mask that finally feels like you. It's validating. But if you never, ever take a second to question it, that mask gets a little tighter, and a little tighter until it's actually limiting what you can see and stopping you from growing beyond those four little letters you've decided define you. So let's break this down. Take the INFP. The belief is, I have to be inspired before I can act. That feels so authentic to them. But if you dig a little deeper, what's really there? A fear of starting something that's messy, something that isn't going to be perfect from the get-go. And what about the INFJ? They have this incredible knack for just getting people. It's a real strength. But here's the trap. They trust that intuition so much that their assumptions start taking the place of actual conversations. It's like, I already know what you mean, so why do we need to talk about it? Then you've got INTJs, the masters of making things optimal, an amazing skill. But that belief that if it's not the absolute best way, it's not worth doing, well, that can very easily turn into a crippling kind of perfectionism that just stops all progress dead in its tracks. The INTP's mantra is, I'm just thinking it through. They live in a world of deep analysis. But you have to ask, how often is that endless thinking really just a clever way to put off the risk of making one single concrete decision?
Are you seeing the pattern here? Behind every single one of these labels, every one of these justifications, you find the exact same thing pulling the strings. Avoidance. That's the engine making the whole thing run.
Look at the ENTP. They live to explore every possibility out there. Amazing for brainstorming, right? But the hidden truth is often a deep avoidance of the tough work that comes when you pick just one of those ideas and actually see it through. And for the ENFP, it's all about freedom. I just need my freedom. And hey, that's totally valid. But sometimes that belief becomes a really convenient blanket to hide a struggle with consistency, with the discipline it takes to finish what they start. The ENTJ, they are wired to get results. It's all about efficiency. But that laser focus can create a massive blind spot, a place where the feelings of others, the actual human cost of their decisions, gets completely lost in the race to win. Or think about the ENFJ. Their whole purpose is helping other people grow. It's a beautiful thing. But the hidden danger is they can pour so much of themselves into everybody else that they wake up one day and realize they've kind of lost track of who they are. So we're avoiding something. We're running from something scary. But how do we make that feel okay? Simple. We justify it. We tell ourselves a story about who we are based on our type, and all of a sudden that avoidance doesn't feel like fear anymore. It just feels like us. The ISTJ's story is all about responsibility and structure, but that can turn into a fortress, a way to fight off any necessary change just because it feels uncomfortable or threatens the way things have always been done. The ISFJ's story is about being kind, and this is a perfect example of a strength hiding a weakness. They're avoiding conflict at all costs, which almost always means they end up neglecting their own needs. For the ISTP, their identity is built on logic and independence. It's like a suit of armor. And very often that armor is used for one specific purpose, to keep messy, unpredictable feelings, both their own and other people's, at a very, very safe distance. And the ISFP? They're just going with the flow. Sounds so chill and adaptable, right? But that flow can become a really easy way to just drift right on by the moments that actually need you to make a tough call or to take a real stand. Okay, and here's the final piece of the puzzle. This whole cycle, the avoidance, powered by the justification, it isn't a one-time thing.
When you do it over and over, it hardens. It becomes something else entirely. It becomes a habit, an automatic reflex you don't even notice anymore.
For the ESTJ, the habit is to lead, to be efficient. But there's a really fine line between leading and just controlling. And it's so easy to drift over that line when the story you tell yourself is that your way is always the best way. The ESFJ's habit is caring, creating that harmony, but that wonderful desire can get all tangled up in needing other people to approve of them, where their own sense of self-worth is totally dependent on what everyone else thinks. The ESTP lives for the moment. It's exciting, it's all about action. But the hidden truth is that this mindset can become a lifelong habit of just ignoring the long-term consequences of whatever feels good right now. And finally, the ESFP. Their belief is simple. Life is for enjoying. And who can argue with that? But sometimes always chasing the next fun thing is actually a really clever way to avoid dealing with the deeper, more complicated stuff that's waiting just below the surface. Okay, so after running through all of those, let's bring it back to you. Be totally honest with yourself for a second. Which one of those hidden truths made you feel just a little bit seen? Which excuse sounded a little too familiar? Because here's the whole point. Seeing these patterns isn't about finding flaws. It's about realizing that your personality type isn't a script that you're stuck with for life. It's just a starting point. It's an opportunity to see your go-to excuses for what they are and to choose, consciously, to grow beyond them.